Today we're going to learn how to tie 7 knots used with sport fishing spinning gear in the tropics. These are proven knots used to join fishing lines of various types and diameters, to tie a fishing line to the terminal tackle and to spool a reel with braided line. The double uni knot, a knot to join 2 braided lines of similar or different thicknesses. Place the 2 braided lines alongside each other. Take the line on the left and form a loop to the right over the other line. Leave about 5 centimeters of line free beyond the knot. Starting from above, loop the line around the 2 braided lines 3 times to the right. Tighten firmly. Proceed in the same way with the braided line on the right. Form a loop to the left over the other line. Leave about 5 centimeters of line free beyond the knot. Starting from above, loop the line round the 2 braided lines 3 times to the left. Tighten firmly. The 2 uni knots can then be pulled tight against each other. Excess line should then be cut off with special braided line scissors and the tip singed with a lighter to melt the fibres together and prevent them from fraying. This knot can also be used to join 2 monofilament lines of the same thickness. The Peixet knot, a knot to join a light braided line to a light monofilament line. Form an overhand knot with the mono. Leave about 5 centimeters of excess line. Thread the braided line through the overhand knot, leaving about 20 centimeters of excess braided line. The braided line and mono should be placed alongside each other. Pinch the loop and the braided line. Starting from above, loop the braided line round the mono 10 times to the left. With the other hand, pinch the ends of the coils. Then loop the line around 8 times to the right, back over the coils. Pull the end of the braided line through the overhand knot. Tighten the overhand knot. Pull on both the loose braided line and the main braided line to tighten the coils, which will come into close contact with the overhand knot. Firmly tighten the overhand knot. The EP's friction knot, a knot to join a braided line to a heavy monofilament shock leader. We recommend that you use a flexible monotype shock leader rather than fluorocarbon, which is too stiff. The fisherman should be seated. Place the rod to your right at a slight angle so that it will not move. Place the monofilament spool under your left thigh. Position the mono over the braided line at a 90-degree angle. Leave about 10 centimeters of excess mono and 30 centimeters of excess braided line. Loop the loose part of the braided line completely around the mono. Then take the braided line on the reel side and loop it completely around the mono, coming back to a position above it. Pull the coils tight against each other. Repeat this step until you've looped the braided line 25 times around the mono, keeping a 90-degree angle so as to ensure perfect friction, so that when tightened it will embed itself on the surface of the shock leader. Pinch the coils with your fingertips to keep them taut. Make sure that the coils are always kept tight against each other. A first half hitch starting under both the braided line and the mono will seal the 25 coils. Pull the half hitch tight with a series of sharp movements. Form 4 more half hitches each time over both the braided line and the monofilament. The first one over the top, the second one from below, the third over the top, and the fourth from below. Pull each half hitch tight with a series of sharp movements. Complete the knot with a risotto finish. With the loose braided line, form a loop to the left. Starting from above, loop the line 5 times around the braided line and the mono to the left. Place the loose line in the middle of the knot, touching the half hitches. Pinch the coils with the fingertips of your left hand. Then undo the 5 coils in the opposite direction this time. Tighten firmly. Cut the braided line and singe the tip, leaving about 3 mm free. Cut the mono, leaving about 4 mm free. Singe 2 mm to form a good-sized round end that should be left to cool off so that it won't be abrasive to the braided line. This locks the risotto finish in place and prevents it from slipping. The uni knot. A knot to join a fine monofilament line to a connector or lure. Thread the line through the eye of the swivel. Leave about 15 centimeters of excess mono. Pinch the line to give it shape. Form a loop on the right, leaving about 10 centimeters of excess monofilament. Starting from above, loop the line 3 to 5 times around the 2 strands to the right. Tighten. Slide the knot up against the swivel. Fasten the knot tightly. The Rapala knot, a knot to tie a light mono to a lure without a connector. Form an overhand knot. Leave about 10 centimeters of excess line. Thread the loose line through the ring on the lure all the way through to the overhand knot. Thread the loose line through the overhand knot so that the loose line and standing line lie parallel. Form a loop 1 to 2 centimeters in diameter, pinch the loop, and then, starting from above, loop the line around the standing line twice to the right. Thread the line back through the loop. Tighten and fasten firmly. Unlike the uni, which is a fixed knot, the Rapala is a knot that gives the lure greater mobility and erratic movement in the water. The nail or tube knot, a knot to join a heavy shock leader to a connector or lure. For this knot, you need a hollow cotton swab type tube and a pair of pliers to tighten the knot. Thread the loose line through the eye of the swivel. Leave about 20 centimeters of excess line. Pinch the line to give it shape. Place the 2 strands of line alongside each other. Place the hollow tube between the 2 strands. Wrap the loose line around the tube once to the right. Come back across the loop by then looping the line to the left. Loop it tightly round the line to the left 4 more times. Push the loose line into the tube on the swivel side, making sure the swivel does not get caught in the loop of the standing line. Pull the line out of the other end of the tube. Remove the tube. Tighten the knot with a pair of pliers, holding the coils tight with the fingers of your other hand. Slide the knot up against the swivel. Fasten the knot tightly, preferably with the pliers. How to spool a reel with braided line. Properly spooling braided line onto the reel is a vital step to reduce the risk of tangling when casting and to make sure that the braided line runs out smoothly on drag when a fish suddenly takes the line. The first step is to thread the braided line through the rod rings from the tip down to the reel. Don't forget to open the bail arm. A slip knot made using a uni knot, a knot to join braided line to the reel spool. Form a big loop. Tie a uni knot around the big loop. Place the loop with the slip knot around the spool and pull it tight. Wrap the line around the spool by hand several times, being sure to cross over the coils. Then form a half hitch so that the first coils do not slide along the spool. Wrap the line around again by hand several times. Then form another half hitch to make sure the braided line is firmly tied to the spool. Spooling in the braided line. After inserting the spool back into the reel, the roll of new line is placed on a spindle and held by someone else. Since braided line is uncoiled in 20 to 50 meter lengths, this needs to be done out of doors. Once the braided line has been uncoiled, it should be held tight by the other person and then spooled in as tautly as possible so that the braided line will be very tightly coiled around the reel spool. Continue until the braided line fills the reel completely.